Hello there, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. My name is Kenneth. Jessica stories making headlines tonight. President Akufo-Addo says his government's negotiations with the IMF is the most transparent in Ghana's history, given the widespread consultations that have taken place. Meanwhile, the president says there's no basis to sack Ken Ofori-Atta, who is leading Ghana's negotiations. Religious leaders in Ghana demand an immediate ban on all small-scale mining, whether licensed or unlicensed, in the country until government comes to grips with the fight against illegal mining. Also coming up in this bulletin, the Ghana Private Road and Transport Union serves notice that it will increase transport fares if the nuisance taxes imposed on petroleum products are not reduced. And later, Ethiopian government to hold peace talks in Tigray, but says it will continue military operations in the northern region of that country, a day after the African Union called for an immediate end to hostilities there. Details coming up shortly. Don't go anywhere. Program. Now, 4 tertiary education unions have started a nationwide strike today, Monday, 17th October 2022. These unions are the University Teachers Association of Ghana, Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana, Teachers and Educational Workers Union, Federation of Universities Senior Staff Association of Ghana, and the Ghana Association of University Administrators. They say they are striking over their conditions of service.
The national leaders of 4 tertiary education unions declared a nationwide indefinite strike effective Monday, 17th October 2022. The strike follows what they describe as blatant unilateral variation of agreed conditions of service in the face of hostile economic conditions. In particular, the industrial action relates to their consent with fuel, vehicle maintenance, and off-campus allowances. On arrival, the news team observed some students on campus preparing for their end-of-semester exam. The intended strike was to temporarily shut down universities until the impasse between lecturers and government is resolved. The situation is, however, similar in some universities in the Central Region. According to Central Regional Correspondent Akwesi Addo, schools are yet to feel the impact of the strike action as lectures took place today. But he added that things may change from tomorrow as lecturers and staff might not show up for work. However, in an interview with the president of UTAG, Professor Solomon Nunu, he indicated that the striking workers' union will be meeting the National Labour Commission on Wednesday.
The 13th of October strike was postponed because we needed to give room for our engagement with the Labour Commission. If you recall, Labour Commission invited us to mediate the case. That was on the 12th of October. So we had a meeting with government employers on the 14th. That was last Friday, to discuss issues that are pertinent to us. At the end of the deliberations, it's like there was a stalemate. Nothing concrete was put together.
So national leaders of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, the Tertiary Education Workers Union, Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana, and other associations announced its intended strike action of labor union in all public universities of Ghana to commence a strike action today, Monday, 17th October 2022, over government's failure to heed to the directive of the National Labour Commission. However, a visit to some of these universities, including the University of Ghana City Campus, showed that students were on vacation. However, the strike action didn't take place there. But at the University of Professional Studies and the Ghana Institute of Journalism, students were on campus writing examination. This means that until government heeds to the plea of these lecturers, students will begin to stay outside of classrooms again. Reporting for Metro News, I am Zoe Anita Ode, Accra.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Now, the Ghana Private Road and Transport Union has served notice that it will increase transport fares if the nuisance taxes imposed on petroleum products are not reduced. According to the union, it will cushion its members in the wake of rising fuel prices. Abbas Imoro Ibrahim is the Industrial Relations Officer for the union.
Almost midday at a makeshift lorry park at Northridge here in Accra. Around this time, taxis and ride-hailing app drivers cash in as demand is quite high. On the flip side though, the story is different as some commercial drivers have parked their vehicles. They claim their daily routine is hampered by the incessant hikes in fuel prices.
Even just an appropriate crowd, me two car, me koto for me do fuel filling station. If you visit the normal price, and about nobody almost saying yes, sir. And then yeah, two fuels me do almost 10.10, meaning 13 cedis, 10 pesos just per liter. For your top petrol, just 13 cedis, 10 pesos for a liter in this country. There now, send out by Togo came out by Jumafa. At least so, and about me too come and I'm saying, and then you say, me for soon so I have to just come and find some place and park and then have my rest. And I said, yeah, like I didn't see.
A liter of petrol and diesel now sell at 13 cedis 10 pesos and 15 cedis 99 pesos respectively at some oil marketing companies. The drivers say they may soon be out of business if government doesn't intervene.
When the fuel goes up, it affects our work. Actually, it affects it because when it goes up, normally our prices on the app doesn't go up. Comparing as throttle and taxis, they can dictate their own prices when the fuel goes up. But this one, the app dictates the price for you, the driver, for the customer to pay it.
The Kaneshie station, the leadership of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union is meeting its members to firm up its 30 to 40% proposed increment in transport fares. Abbas Imoro Ibrahim is Industrial Relations Officer of the union.
Fortunately, we've arranged with the Transport Ministry. We are meeting them on Wednesday. So whatever decision we take on Wednesday, we'll get to the public domain on upward adjustment in new lorry fares.
What are your proposals?
Oh, well, we look at 40, 30. Everybody is coming out with any proposal which we deem necessary. But I'll plead with the public. Let's meet the ministry and come out with whatever final decision we arrive at.
The group wants what they describe as nuisance taxes on petroleum products scrapped as they are factors that contribute to the rising cost of petroleum products in the country.
We, as Ghanaians, we put up 11 taxes, levies, and margins, and we are saying some has overstayed its usefulness in the tax build-up. So we are saying by that if government is able to take some out, it will help all of us.
Until a lasting solution is found to the rapid increment in petroleum products, Ghanaians will have to bear the brunt if the GPRTU pushes through with its plans to increase transport fares. Henry Kwesi Bedu, Metro News, Accra.
To other stories tonight, President Akufo-Addo says he has no basis to dismiss Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta despite calls for him to be shown the exit door. The president argued that his government's discussions with the Bretton Woods institution is the most transparent of any government in the history of the country, given the widespread consultations that have taken place.
Easy for people to say it's mismanagement. I don't accept that criticism. Yes, because the reasons why we got into where we got to had very little to do with the Ghanaian economy.
Good.
The way it was being managed had everything to do the economists call exogenous factors, things to do that came from the outside.
President Akufo-Addo dismissing claims that his government has mismanaged the economy as it looks to the IMF for support, a decision he describes as a tough one.
I don't have any difficulty in admitting that it was a difficult decision for me to take, but I felt that in the interest of the country, the interest of our economy, we had to make that decision.
He was, however, hopeful of a far-reaching program that will bring relief to Ghanaians.
We're going to come to do a budget to the country in the middle of November. I'm hoping that the IMF negotiations will be over, at least substantially, so we will have a clear idea of the elements of the agreement with the fund, which hopefully will be able to feed into the budget. Looking for a program which will give us significant relief as far as support for our balance of payments are concerned.
Despite calls for Ken Ofori-Atta to be sacked, the president says he remains firmly behind his chief finance officer.
It's the most transparent process any government has done with an IMF program.
I see.
First of all, the public engagement. Secondly, stakeholders. Widespread consultations. 2015. IMF program. This man was able to organize the management of our economy in such a way that not only were we able to roll out all these programs in that first year and subsequent years, but our economy's growth was spectacular. Somebody who has been able to do that, why would I say that? How do I do that? How do I do that? What will be the basis? What is the rationale?
With ongoing speculations about government's discussions with the IMF, the president reassured Ghanaians that government's flagship programs like the free SHS policy will not be compromised.
President Akufo-Addo has again pledged to do more to restore confidence in the judiciary. This follows the commissioning of a 20-unit permanent residential facility for appeal court judges in Kumasi.
President Akufo-Addo, as part of his regional tour of the Ashanti region, commissioned the 20-unit facility for appeal court judges in Kumasi. The commissioning of the project forms part of measures being put in place to improve justice delivery system in the country. Commissioning the project, President Nana Akufo-Addo said his government will do more to repose confidence in the judiciary.
District Court and then Twasimai Court Yaba. Nyama be brain and Kwaso Ebama Twasimai. Nyama be brain and Kwaso Ebama Tiawasimai. Tiabaya, Yasam Kakra Ordo. Madame Sepa, and that was it. Madame Sepa, so no I am for.
Betty Ansaba Ako is project architect for FEDEMS Limited, consultant for the project. The Chief Justice, Justice Anini Yeboah, who bemoaned the lack of adequate infrastructure for the judiciary, said the facility, aside from promoting justice delivery, will employ over 2,000 Ghanaians.
Teamwork between all the stakeholders, right from His Lordship, the Chief Justice himself. Almost every weekend he was here to ensure that work was going on successfully, as well as the Common Fund Director, that's Honorable Irina Toshiado. She also ensured that the funds were released on time. And then the teamwork that existed between the consultants and the contractors. I would say that this is what has made us see this on time. The clubhouse has a gymnasium. It's also very important for them to be very healthy. So therefore the gym will help them, to do more exercises. And then there's also a sauna and then private lounges. Like I said earlier, if they have private meetings, they could host their visitors in the clubhouse.
The program was graced by His Royal Majesty of the Ashanti Kingdom, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, various sub-chiefs of the Ashanti Kingdom, judges, ministers of state, members of parliament, amongst others.
In other stories tonight, self-styled evangelist Patricia Odro-Elias Nana Grada has been granted a 50,000 Ghana cedis bail by the Accra Circuit Court 9 following a plea by her counsel for her out of the police custody.
Though granted bail by the Accra Circuit Court 9, self-styled evangelist Patricia Siedua Odro of the Heavenway International Church, alias Nana Agrada, will remain in police custody until Court 10 of the same court grant her plea before it, as she is standing another trial there. In court on Monday, October 17, 2022, the accused lawyer, Paul Asibi Abagri, argued that her client is widely known and will not abscond when granted bail, thus will not interfere with the ongoing investigations as argued by the prosecution. Opposed to the motion, prosecution said granting bail by the court will be a great sin, taking into fact the gravity of the offense. Nana Agrada's lawyer interjected that money doubling is illegal in the country, hence will soon pray the court to arrest all complainants who have lodged complaints on the case. Though it was further argued by prosecution that Nana Agrada might hamper investigations, the court in its wisdom granted bail to Nana Agrada on 50,000 Ghana cedis condition with 3 sureties, preferably a civil servant with not less than 2,000 Ghana cedis salary. She is expected to report to the police every Wednesday until the next adjourned date, October 24, 2022.
Right, this is Newsnight on Metro Television. You can also follow us on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana, also on Twitter at Metro TV GH. In other stories tonight, religious leaders are calling for immediate ban on all small-scale mining, whether licensed or unlicensed in the country, until the issues of illegal activities are amicably resolved. At a press conference, the clergy called on government to immediately arrest and prosecute persons involved in the illegal mining without fear or favor.
The leaders, whilst acknowledging President Akufo-Addo's efforts in dealing with the situation, insist that ministers of state, MPs, MMDCEs, and other government agents in the various localities cannot claim ignorance of the people involved in the menace. The group also expressed dismay over traditional leaders allowing distractions by the illegal miners in their jurisdictions. The spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arem Yao Shaibu, is calling for the immediate ban on all small-scale mining in the country.
The very security of our country is under threat. These young men are armed to the teeth, ready to shoot and kill because of what they think they can gain through Galamsey. That is the reason why we think that we must really, as Ghanaians, we must now use a pulpit like this and send a message. Like Prof said, it will not end here. We want to engage with all those. We want to see real commitment.
A call for the arrest and prosecution of chiefs engaging in illegal mining was made by president of the Full Gospel Businessmen Fellowship International Ghana, Baba Mahama.
We have taken notice that many groups or companies hide behind a legal license to wreak havoc to the environment. To that end, we call for an immediate ban on all forms of small-scale mining, whether licensed or not, until a workable and satisfactory roadmap has been established to ensure responsible mining in our country. We call for an immediate national stakeholders dialogue under the auspices of religious leaders while the ban is in place.
President of the Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Reverend Professor Frimpong Manso, announced the declaration of a one-week fasting and prayer for the country.
We seek to draw the nation's attention, the attention of Ghanaians to the following. We are calling for a week of fasting and prayers to pray for change of hearts and God's mercy upon our nation for the destruction we have caused to the environment.
The group, however, said the visit to some illegal mining sites was to meet traditional leaders and also have a clear idea of the level of destruction caused to the environment and to come up with proposals to governments on how to deal with the canker.
We'll go for a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back. More than 550,000 candidates from over 18,000 schools are participating in this year's BECE exams. Here's a wrap of day one of the exercise across the country.
Student, the BECE is a very relevant exams in their life because it takes them to a higher step in their life, that is senior high school. And for senior high school being free now in our country, Ghana, many students will want to learn hard, comport themselves, and merit that step. Now, the BECE has started today, and we're touring schools to find out what is the situation on the ground. How has the comportment, the discipline been like?
This year, it seems it's better than that of last year. We don't know whether, as it has just started, but the comportment has been better than that of last year. It has just started, so let's move forward and see how best. But we have spoken to them, we have warned them, and given them a lot of caution that anything you do that will create any problem, we'll make sure you are arrested.
Students were writing the exams under strict invigilations in Accra. The mayor taught some centers.
They are answering the questions that they read, and one thing they should read to understand the question that they are answering. Then even if they cannot quote word by word, you just will summarize it from the day you were taught, how you understood it, and then you write it down. And that will let the teacher know that indeed you got a clear understanding of what you were taught. And so I'm here to encourage them.
In the Western region, about 622 candidates registered to sit for the examination in Ahanta West municipality. Some heads of schools and pupils had high hopes for the examination.
The paper was okay, but with the second paper I found some difficulties.
First of all, when I reached the BECE hall, though I was panicking, but later I thought maybe the papers would be hard. But when I started writing, I realized that mock is harder than the BECE.
Already we've set the rule for circuit supervisors and other things to educate them so that they will get out of the anxiety and other things that will befall upon them and the fear. So they have encouraged them, and so you can see that they came with enthusiasm that having completed for the year and then now they are writing to justify whatever they've learned. They are ready.
WAEC has assured members of the public that all appropriate measures have been put in place to safeguard the integrity of the exams.
Meanwhile, Challenging Heights NGO has provided free buses to convey all BECE candidates within the Futu municipality. The provision will last for the entire 5-day exams period, and according to the CEO of the NGO, will ease the burden of all candidates who may be prevented from writing the exams due to the lack of transportation to the examination center.
Challenging Heights in the last 5 years began a program of conveying BECE candidates from their various zonal areas to the examination centers. We have noted that a lot of parents could not afford the transportation cost for their children leaving homes and going to the centers. It costs a minimum of 20 cedis a day for a child to leave home and go to the examination center, which means that between Monday to Friday, when the examinations will be taking place, each child will pay at least 100 Ghana cedis, for they could not afford. A lot of them will look for friends and relatives and go and stay with them during the period that they are writing the BECE examination from Monday to Friday. A lot of these children ended up becoming pregnant. Some ended up being raped, defiled, and all manner of abuses. And to avoid this, Challenging High decided we will want to address this issue in the various communities, in the various centers, starting with the Efutu Municipal Assembly. We hope that in the next couple of years, we will be able to replicate this project to other districts.
We'll be back with the latest in business. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. And in business tonight, the International Monetary Fund has disclosed that the government of Ghana has submitted a reform plan which will hinge on the country's possible economic support program.
According to the Fund's Africa Department Director, the plan is now being assessed along with further engagement with Ghanaian authorities. Speaking at a press briefing at the just-ended IMF World Bank Spring meeting in USA, the IMF Africa Director said it is optimistic that an agreement can be reached in due course in order to fast-track the financial bailout. He, however, said the pace of negotiation will depend on how the Ghanaian and IMF authorities will assess and approve the reform plan submitted. He added the fund had a mission to discuss the key elements of the reform plan and the government of Ghana's share with the fund. According to the Fund's Africa Department Director,
So Carriage Buti is an economist and he joins me for more on this. Carriage, good evening. How do you expect the outcome of the reform program?
Bank Spring meeting in...
Hello, Carriage, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. Carry on.
Okay, sure. So the last mission of the IMF team staff to Ghana focused on deliberations on the content of the recovery program that government is proposing. IMF is shifting from the level where they will tell you what to do now to you proposing your own program. They will support you to fine-tune it based on the problems they've diagnosed and all of that. I think prior to the mission the team coming to town, the press briefing the finance minister had highlighted, I think, about 8 thematic areas that the program will focus on. It was about debt sustainability. It was about fiscal consolidation. It was about building financial sector resilience. Right. It was about exchange rate stability, and I think a few other areas that needs to be looked at. And really, if you look at our economic situation now, I think the 2 topical issues have been debt and fiscal sustainability, really. And I guess the whole conversation about potential debt restructuring is stemming from the situation we have as it stands now with debt and debt service obligation and what government has to do about it. So as part of the proposals, we are supposed to be telling the fund what we intend to do about debt to bring it back to sustainable level. It is based on that the fund will make inputs and on a technical level to fine-tune it. And then when we agree on the program that we believe and the fund believe will address Ghana's current macroeconomic challenges, then we can move toward a staff level agreement that will now go to the board for consideration. And so what they are trying to really say is that the time span it would take to agree on the program would depend on how quickly we all agree on some of the proposals in government's enhanced domestic program that we are talking about at the same time.
Right. Carriage, and how will this favor the country's fragile economy?
Well, yes, if these programs are far-reaching enough and can go to the core of the problems that we have at this moment, we are talking about a debt stock that is different figures quoted out there officially, almost 80% of GDP. We are talking about an interest or debt service obligation that is consuming, as at half year, about 68% of our total tax revenue. And we are talking about 3 expenditure items: interest payment, cost of goods and services, and wages and salaries, taking about 137 or so % of our tax revenue. These are clearly not sustainable. And so what will be the reform on that side? You would have to contain expenditure and you would have to grow revenue. I mean, if revenue growth means new taxes, in these times, it doesn't look like a popular policy, or it won't be received favorably. If it means raising more taxes from the existing tax handles, then the question then will be, what will you do differently from what you have done all this while, which hasn't translated into higher revenues for the nation? And so that is where the issue lies. If you like, the excellence with which government answers this question and then get support from the IMF, the better it will be for it. But by all means, we need to work on revenue. We need to work on expenditure. And so you might want to hear things like, if the wage bill is the problem, how can you slow down the growth in the wage bill or even reduce it? And so conversations around that will come up. If it's about debt sustainability, at the current level of debt, are you going to restructure your debt, extend the tenor, reduce or engage investors to reduce the interest obligation a bit so that you are able to afford it? Or what other options do you have? I mean, you have to discuss all of those things. The expectation is that in the end, we need to be in a better place where we should start to see most of our leading indicators or macro indicators heading in the right direction. And so that is the expectation from all of these, really, to bring Ghana back to a better place than we are now.
Right, Courage Botti, thank you very much for your time. He's an economist. Let's now take you to Paris in France, where the winner of the Ballon d'Or is about to be declared.
À Bernabeu, face aux Galacticos, je marque, on perd 4-2, et là, après le match, je change de maillot avec un de tes partenaires et
Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in 2003.
Changer de maillot. Et je suis tellement énervé parce que j'en ai plus. Et là, tu me dis, c'est pas grave, c'est pas grave. Par contre, au match retour, ne m'oublie pas. Hein. Et moi, pendant 2 mois avant le match retour, je suis là à penser à ce maillot que je vais donner à mon idole Zinedine Zidane. Le match retour arrive,
how he wanted
je suis dans
to
le
switch
tunnel,
shirts
concentré,
with Zidane at the final whistle.
gagner ce match.
He returned
Et
fixture.
là, tu me tapes sur l'épaule encore. Je me retourne, tu me dis, j'espère que tu ne m'as pas oublié. Hein. Et mon premier réflexe, c'est de vouloir l'enlever et de te le donner. Et tu dis, non, 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 après le match. Ça, mesdames et messieurs, c'est l'effet Zinedine Zidane.
Certainly go back
Je voulais savoir.
quite a while, Zidane and Drogba.
Je m'en souviens plus de cette anecdote.
Ah, moi je m'en souviens.
Zidane saying he doesn't remember that story.
Ah, son maillot?
Oui.
Il est dans ma chambre, au-dessus de mon lit.
Et vous,
Drogba's
Zinedine,
now-
vous avez gardé celui de Didier, évidemment.
Jokes he has that jersey above his bed.
Il est dans la
Back at
collection,
home.
il est dans la collection.
Zinedine, vous avez remporté le
Framed
Ballon
and
d'Or en
mounted on the wall.
1998, un moment très fort, évidemment, dans votre carrière. Qu'est-ce que vous retenez de ce Ballon d'Or dans votre vie?
Écoutez, vous faites tout pour gagner quand vous êtes footballeur professionnel du monde.
So you do everything when you're a
Et
footballer
forcément, ça
to
donne
win the
l'occasion
World
de
Cup.
pouvoir gagner un Ballon d'Or un jour, et c'est ce qui m'est arrivé en 98. Donc voilà, c'est un grand moment. Je pense qu'on
Winning the Ballon d'Or in
je
98
vois
was
tout
a
ce parterre
huge moment.
de joueurs, de joueuses en fait qui sont magnifiques. Bon, on a pris quelques années, nous, mais c'est vrai que c'est des grands moments. Enfin voilà, c'est des grands moments de retrouvailles, de se retrouver pour des moments comme celui-ci.
It's
Quand
great
on
to all
gagne,
get together for an occasion like
on est
this.
Merci beaucoup, Zinedine. À toi l'immense honneur de dévoiler le Ballon d'Or France Football 2022, élu par 100 journalistes de 100 pays différents.
J'y vais alors.
Allez, c'est parti.
For the moment we've all been waiting for.
Pas le suspense ou...
Allez.
Le suspense. Bon, ben, le vainqueur du Ballon d'Or 2022, et je suis ravi de cette récompense, c'est pour toi, Karim Benzema.
It is indeed Karim Benzema, the 5th Frenchman to win the Ballon d'Or, first since Zidane in 1998. And recognition for Benzema after what was an outstanding season for Real Madrid, back in the French team as well.
Quelques mots pour lui.
Helped Real Madrid win both the Spanish League crown and the Champions League.
Le 66e Ballon d'Or.
And the winner of the 66th Ballon d'Or, Karim Benzema.
Encore. Profite.
What a special occasion it is for him. And for his family and his close ones as well.
Karim, on a hâte d'entendre vos tout premiers mots.
We'll hear from Benzema.
Bonsoir. Non, attendez.
Well, absolutely loving
Non,
the
bonsoir.
moments.
Fonctionne? Bon, bonsoir à tous.
Good evening all.
De voir ça devant moi, c'est une fierté.
This prize in front of
Je
me
repense à quand j'étais
makes me really
petit,
proud. When I was small,
tout le travail
all the work I did,
où j'ai jamais lâché.
I never
C'était un rêve
gave up.
de gamin comme tous les
It was a childhood
gamins.
Like
J'ai
all
grandi
kids.
avec ça dans ma tête. Et puis après, j'ai eu de la motivation.
I had the motivation.
Car j'ai eu 2 modèles dans ma vie.
I had
Zizou
two
et Ronaldo.
role models in my life.
Donc,
Zidane and Ronaldo as well.
c'est
President
beaucoup
Florentino Perez.
de travail. C'est rien lâcher. C'est de s'entraîner encore plus, mais surtout garder toujours cette chose-là, ce rêve dans la tête, parce que
I
tout
always had
était
this
possible.
dream in my
Parce que,
mind.
il y a eu
Everything's
des moments où
possible.
c'était beaucoup plus difficile pour moi. On ne regarde pas que le côté bien aujourd'hui, parce que c'est là devant moi, mais il y a eu ces périodes où, par exemple, j'étais pas en sélection,
There was this
où j'ai rien
difficult
lâché.
period
J'étais
where I
avec mon
wasn't
coach
in the
ici,
French
où
team,
on
but I
travaillait
never
beaucoup aux entraînements, et il me répétait sans
stopped
cesse
working hard. I never gave
de
up.
garder dans ma tête cette joie de jouer au foot, et
I
que un
always
jour je
kept in
pourrais
my
gagner ce
head just
trophée-là.
this joy of playing
Donc,
football.
voilà, je suis vraiment fier de mon
So I'm
parcours.
really proud of my
Comme j'ai dit,
journey here.
C'était difficile. Mes
It
parents
wasn't easy, it was
sont là.
difficult.
Il y a eu cette période où c'était difficile pour toute ma famille. Donc
It was
voilà,
a
ça m'a fait
difficult time.
me
It was hard
renforcer
for my family as well.
mentalement. Et ensuite, voilà, aujourd'hui, être là, ici
To be
présent, c'est la
here
première fois pour moi. Donc je suis
today,
vraiment
the first time for me.
content, satisfait de mon
happy,
travail. Je vais
pleased with
continuer
my
comme
work.
ça.
I'm going to keep going like I have.
Et voilà, je suis vraiment content.
And
Donc j'aimerais
well, I'm just really,
remercier
really
déjà
happy.
tous mes coéquipiers,
I'd like to thank
que
my
ce soit
teammates,
au Real Madrid ou
whether it's
en sélection.
at Real
Donc,
Madrid
merci
or with the national
à
team.
eux, à mon entraîneur,
To my coach as well. I'd like to say thanks to him,
à mon grand président qui est là, qui est pour moi
as well as the Real Madrid
comme
president.
quelqu'un de ma
who's
famille,
here
parce que le
this
jour où il
evening.
m'a
There he
donné
is.
l'opportunité de signer à Madrid, il s'est déplacé jusqu'à chez moi. Ça montre l'homme que c'est. Il a toujours été droit
always
avec moi. Il m'a toujours mis en confiance. C'est pour ça qu'aujourd'hui, il a
happy
tout mon
support.
respect. J'oublie pas aussi Monsieur Aulas qui est
Jean-Michel
là,
Aulas,
toute l'académie
in-
lyonnaise, car sans
who
eux,
is the
j'aurais pas
Lyon
pu signer et
president.
réaliser mon rêve
Benzema started
Madrid.
his career
Toute
before
ma
moving
famille,
to Real
parce que,
Madrid
voilà, on a
over a
besoin
decade ago.
d'une famille, d'être soudés tous ensemble. Après, voilà, il y a beaucoup de choses, donc je remercie tout le monde.
It's really
Ce ballon
a lot
d'or,
of people
comme je
to
dis, c'est individuel, mais ça reste collectif.
This
C'est
Ballon
pour ça
d'Or
que,
is an individual
pour moi,
prize, but
c'est
it's
le Ballon
still
d'Or du
a
peuple.
collective
Voilà.
one because of everyone who's played a role in it.
Félicitations, Karim. Vous entrez dans la légende avec ce 66e Ballon d'Or France Football. Revivons ensemble en images le chemin parcouru jusqu'à ce Ballon d'Or.
Je suis presque un grand frère pour Karim. On a à peu près le même parcours. Il a grandi dans un quartier, j'ai grandi dans un quartier. Ça n'a pas été facile au départ. On était de simples joueurs qui avaient un rêve, c'était de pouvoir devenir footballeur professionnel.
Quand on vient de signer à 17 ans un contrat professionnel et qu'on rentre dans une équipe avec beaucoup de joueurs talentueux, en général, on ne se montre pas trop et lui avait cette faculté non seulement à maîtriser son football, mais à l'exprimer sans appréhension.
tous les éducateurs étaient unanimes. Ils nous disaient tous, on a... Pour lui, ce n'était qu'une étape. Je vais devenir titulaire, je vais devenir performant en Champions League, je vais jouer en équipe de France, et puis je vais aller au Real Madrid, et finalement je vais devenir Ballon d'Or.
Right, so Real Madrid and France striker Karim Mustafa Benzema has won the 2022 Ballon d'Or. Before we go, let's bring you some international news as Ethiopian government is set to hold peace talks in Tigray, but says it will continue military operations in the northern region of that country a day after the African Union called for an immediate end to hostilities there. That's it for now. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Have a good night.